Hello guys, how are you guys doing? My name is Carlos Gutierrez, or maybe known as Los Vibras. Um, I'm a music producer, guitar player, musician, and also a follower of Christ. And I think today I'm going to talk about surrender. Surrenderance, the act of giving something up for something greater, and specifically today, surrendering to God, surrendering to Jesus, surrendering to His plan, surrendering to His will. And I think right now I'm gonna speak in the perspective of my life as an example of an act of surrenderance. So something that I'm going through right now is I'm surrendering a lot of hard things that I didn't want to surrender. Like, I'll give an example. The biggest thing that I recently surrendered is my desire and my stubbornness to smoking weed. I've been smoking weed consistently every other day, every day, for about 6 years now. And I recently have fully surrendered and given this to God now a month and a week ago, which is relatively not a long time, but it's huge for me because I've been smoking every day for 6 years. I gave my life to Christ 3 years ago, 2021, and this has been a tough battle. I wanted to stop smoking about like a year ago, and it has just been a battle between me fighting my flesh, me fighting my desires, me fighting the pleasures, me fighting the easy way out. And what I've now come to the conclusion is that God wanted my heart. He wanted me to give it to Him. And what I mean by that is, in other aspects of my life, I feel personally God has taken away fairly easily. I'll use another example. For most of my life, like being a teenager and getting a little bit older, have had a need to have a girlfriend or a woman in my life to feel whole, to feel worthy, to feel less alone. And it got to a point of my life where I was, I think, 21 years old, and it got to the point, if I'm being honest, just for the sake of being honest and getting my point across, I was using girlfriends or women for my loneliness, filling the void. And it took me hurting someone to realize that I was using them for my own personal gain. And it took me hurting someone pretty bad to be like, to look at myself in the mirror and be like, okay, clearly I'm doing something wrong. Clearly I am the one at fault. So ever since that moment, I wanted to work on myself, because I do love love. I love having a companion. I love having a girlfriend, but not at the cost of them for my own personal gain. And I think really shortly after that, I gave my life to Christ. So that happened 2020. I gave my life to Christ 2021. I started reading the Bible, and then I started seeking out God. And then, I'll be honest, I still was seeking out women here and there. But I would say year one, when I started to really seek out God towards the end of the year, and then God started showing me His Word. He started convicting me. He started giving me peace. He started filling me. He started giving me joy. He started filling the emptiness in my heart. I began to start worshiping, listening to worship music. And then He began to fill my heart, to fill me with joy, to fill me with peace, to fill me with peace beyond my understanding. And then I feel like in my life personally, He took my dying urge and desire to have a woman in my life, to have sex, to seek out women for validation, to seek out the emptiness in my heart in women. And if I'm being even more honest, ever since that, and fast forward to today, which is 2024, I am now 2 years. This is gonna sound kind of funny. I'm 24 years old. I'm now 2 years. This is gonna sound. I'm 2 years without having sex. Straight up. I've made the choice to work on myself, to follow God, to follow Christ wholeheartedly. And in return, God has given me peace. He's given me peace, joy, fulfillment, passion, drive. He's filled the emptiness in my heart. He's filled the emptiness in my soul that I was looking for in women. God, I can wholeheartedly say God, seeking out Jesus, has filled the empty longing that only God can fill, that I didn't know at the time. And, I think that's the only reason and way of how I've been able to abstain. And, it's all praise to God, I'm 24 years old. Of course I want, you know what I mean? Of course, I'm young. But, when you give your life to Christ, He really works in you. And He makes you want to change your desires. He makes you want to be better. And that's what God has done for me. And hopefully I can encourage you to do the same. But rewinding back to surrendering and back to weed specifically, I feel like God didn't take that desire away easily like He did for my lust for women. And it left me really confused. For 3 years of following God, following Christ, if I'm being honest, I gave my life to Christ, continued to smoke weed 3 years. And I was conflicted. I really kind of up to this point, I would justify me smoking. I would justify why I would do it. Be like, oh, it's not that bad. It's a plant. God gave us this green earth. He gave us the plants on the earth. We should be able to use it, and I would just get high every day. And it was nice. It was cool. I wasn't hurting anyone. I wasn't really doing any harm to anyone. But what I was doing harm was to myself. And I realized that recently. And how I realized that was I started getting convicted of wasting my time, not using my time wisely, and being arrogant, prideful. I used to think that tomorrow was promised, when in reality, it's not. Who am I to think that tomorrow is promised? And I would work construction, go home, roll up, smoke, go home, be lazy, do nothing, eat lots of food. I think I know my stoner friends can relate to that. But I would just be lazy and do nothing, and I thought that was fine. And it was, in my mind, I was like, I deserved it. But I was doing that every day, not doing anything with myself, not doing anything with my time, and I was being lazy, arrogant. I was pushing off my dreams and desires. I was pushing off my gifts that I've been given, and that's me being arrogant, thinking that I can do it later. I can work on my dreams later, and when in reality, tomorrow isn't promised. God only knows. He knows the last day of earth. He knows the day I'm gonna die. He knows how long I have left on this earth. He knows my purpose. He knows what I'm called to do. And it got to the point where I was very heavily convicted. I felt I was complacent in my life. I wasn't moving the needle. And I knew deep down in my heart it was because I was smoking weed. It was hard to accept that fact, but it was because I was smoking weed and doing nothing with myself, with my time. I wasn't using my time wisely, and I had to surrender. I had to give up. I had to give it to him. And then I did. I decided a month and a week ago on a Monday, I told God, I'm done. I have chosen, I've decided, I'm giving this to you. And I guess I'm missing one little part. I'm gonna say this before I move on. Leading up to this point, literally a week before I gave up smoking weed, God, I went to church for like the first time in like a while. Because I live in South Dakota, I'm here for work for the summer. I live in Texas, but I went to church here in South Dakota for the first time in a while. I went to the service, I was there for worship, and during worship, you can guys take this or leave it, but I saw like God was putting a picture in my mind. I was imagining things, I was thinking through life, I was just thinking. You can call it a vision, you can call it whatever it is. Anyways, worship was happening. I was looking at the drummer, and God showed me what my life would look like if I stopped smoking weed. If I stopped smoking and replaced that with using my time wisely and investing in my gifts, investing in potential gifts, investing in what God has planned. And that, what he showed me, outweighed me smoking weed by a lot. Like, smoking weed was fun and cool, but the thing that he showed me outweighed so much more. And it helps me see the bigger picture of why. It gave me an urge, it gave me a push, it gave me a why. And I think I needed a why. I didn't have a reason to stop. I didn't have a big enough why. Even though my why should be Jesus, and because he paid the ultimate price for me, and because he surrendered everything, I too should surrender. But because in my own stubbornness, God, he's been weeding out the sin in my life. And him showing me that vision, that imagination, that little hope, it helped me a lot. And that was in the back of my mind a week before. So after that happened, a week happened, I still was smoking weed, and then a week later, I said enough is enough. And now, it's been a month and a week. No weed, no blunts, no joints, no bong rips. I was a stoner, and was still a stoner after giving my life to Christ. Like, and I thought I could really continue to follow Christ and be a stoner. And I think, I'm not here to say that weed is bad and that people can't use weed. Like, I do think it can help people with, like, illnesses or, their body and stuff like that. But I think it's up to everyone's own conviction and their own use. I'll be honest, I was abusing it, doing nothing with myself. So that was my relationship with it. It's all a relationship and all in moderation, and now I've come to the conclusion that God wanted my heart. God wanted me to give it to him. Even though he took this certain aspect of sin in my life, there's still another aspect of sin in my life that he wasn't taking away. But now that I've given it to him willfully, wholeheartedly, I've come to realize that God wanted my heart. He wanted my sincere surrender. He wanted me to give it to him. And that was the hardest thing one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And now in return, God has blessed me with my drive. God has given me my drive. I have a drive again. Hence me making a YouTube video. Hence me working on music. Hence me going out and investing in my craft. Hence I'm cutting out certain things in my life, certain relationships, certain habits, certain circles. And now I'm carving out time, I'm making time, I'm investing time into my relationship with God, the gifts that he has given me, music production, producing, playing guitar, live looping, building relationships with other musicians. I'm using this time to invest in that. I'm investing. I'm using my time to spend time with my family. Instead of going to go smoke weed, after work, I sit down, have dinner, and we come to this patio, and I spend time with my mom and my dad. And, I usually during that time, I would leave the house to go smoke weed because my parents were very fond of it, so I wouldn't smoke weed at the house. I would leave, go smoke, go home, and then ignore them because I was ashamed. But now that I don't smoke, I would have dinner, go home from work, have dinner, and spend some time with my mom and dad and have a genuine conversation with them, talk to them about how I feel, how they feel, have a genuine conversation, and that has been really rewarding and fulfilling, and that's worth more. So now I hope I can encourage through my story to encourage you, if it's in your heart, to surrender. It's not easy. It took me 3 years after knowing Christ to surrender weed. I've surrendered all other things in my life, but I think just in this topic I felt to talk about my personal life and my personal journey of weed and women, because they kind of went hand in hand. So it's, you can take it or leave it, and I encourage that on the other side of surrenderance is peace, joy, fulfillment, drive, passion, gifts, a deeper relationship with God, a deeper relationship with my friends and family, which outweighs smoking weed by myself and getting high, and so take it or leave it. My name is Carlos Gutierrez. Los Vibras on Spotify or Apple Music. You can support me. I make EDM house music. Also, I make acoustic guitar and electric guitar live loop music. I recently gave up social media, literally a week ago. That's a different topic. think I'll save that for next week. But thank y'all for supporting me. I appreciate all the love, support, and I'll see you maybe, I don't know how soon, but we'll see if I can do this daily, God willing. I pray for y'all, I encourage y'all, you know, seek out God. God is good. Peace.